Hey guys, it's Lucy. So I wanted to share a very exciting find with you today, and the title is called The Houseguest. This is a collection of short stories written by a Spanish or Mexican author. Her name is Amparo Davila, and it was translated into English by Audrey Harris and Matthew Gleason. So this is an old-ish sort of book because based on what I see, like this author was born in Mexico in 1928. So but they don't feel dated at all. There are about 10 stories within this very, very short book. So for people who want a very quick read, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this before bed just because the subject matter is, as it says on the back, following characters to the limits of desire, paranoia, isolation, and fear. This author is basically writing like another part of the review, equal parts Alfred Hitchcock film and razor blade. So it's very sharp in the noir kind of sense. The subject matter is kind of hinging on fantastical, but nothing really happened. There's no crime or actual violence or anything actually happening, but it's like it's kind of leads into it. It implies it. Reading and these stories are all like from different perspectives, all walks of life, but the overall feeling is like a sense of desperation, but because it's done so well and in such an artful way that like when I think of it, it would be like if you're riding a roller coaster, for people who've been to like theme parks and have gone on like those type of like roller coasters, it's like you're sitting in the very front row where like as the thing is like inching up and up and up, like on that climb, by the tipping point, generally, like the people who are in the front row have a full view of the downfall that is going to come. That's what it feels like. You're not the ones in the back sort of being dragged and like not really kind of seeing anything or know like what is going on. You can only feel like the gradual suspense, which is very suspenseful on its own already, like being like hung in the position like that. But like this reading this, the way that she writes, the like the enjoyable, I guess, part of it as a reader, the engaging part of the experience is like that of like being in the front row. I think that is like the perfect description. So for people who enjoy that type of feeling in terms of reading, like I would highly recommend this. All these stories, I had a feeling that it was written by a female author. I can't tell you like how I got that, but I tried to group the stories a little bit into like subject matter so I could see like what are the themes that are being discussed that may be indicators of what what living in Mexico was like back in the day, like not that far back, but just not totally present day, but what were like the society issues, like say in the 1950s or 1960s or whatever. And no surprise at all, like some of these, like one I jotted down is like this, it's about poverty, disillusioned mother of 10 living in poverty, desperation, like she's about to do something. Another one, drugs related, so it's breakfast time. It's actually literally called The Breakfast. So this girl is family having breakfast. This girl is recounting a traumatic experience at breakfast over what sounds like a drug-induced psychotic episode that probably ended in a lot of violence, possibly murder. Like we don't know. Like so, and another one like mental health. So there's this one about living with like a deranged brother in the basement in a family, and it's just sort of draining them all of like financial resources, energy, and there's just lack of help from society, so lack of societal support. Like I'm making very, very large jumps here in themes, and I don't think it's totally fair to say that like those are the penultimate problems of a society just based on like a few hundred words, but that's what some of what these stories talk about. And I find that I find that more relevant, even though this is a story. These are stories that are more for entertainment, really. But anyway, like, and a huge number of the stories, overwhelmingly, was some about some sort of sexual harassment, or like just the way that the women's place in society. Like there's this one about a neighbor, like kind of being obsessed with his like a man being obsessed with his beautiful like neighbor, and it's like fragments of a diary, and it sounded very normal at first, but then it turned into something that sounded like he was like this deranged artist, and like he was going to do something for the sake of his art. There was another one where it's like a very nice, like, naive factory worker, and like she doesn't know how to like get this, we call it, she calls it charming, but like I would say like too overly insistent kind of stranger to like get off her case and just like leave her alone, but like she doesn't know how. It's like almost she doesn't have the words and the language to set the boundaries. So, and that might end horribly as well, we don't know. There's a lot of, I get this sense of just violence almost towards women, or like a sense of dominion that is being asserted, that I think would totally not be acceptable in reality, especially not in like today's culture, but is like causing problems and very like prevalent, it sounds like in some of these stories. So that's, I think, why I felt that it was a female writer, because of the way that she describes the female experience, especially in a culture that's a little bit more dated than current day, like North America. So I really enjoyed the roller coaster ride. I hope people, if you speak Spanish, I mean, please tell me if you've heard of Amparo Davila, or like if you've read any of her works in Spanish. I would love to know how it reads, because there's always this sense of poetry, musicality to everything that's translated into English from Spanish. Like I'm talking, like I haven't read that many, but just like very basic, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and even like Shadow of the Wind, like Ruiz, and like there's actual poetry, like I haven't read too much, but there's always this flow that is really beautiful. So I recommend this highly. If you can find a copy of it, let me know what you think, and if you've read any of the authors, like actual original Spanish works as well. Thanks for listening to me ramble once again. Have a good day.